Now, I've already explained how to make a bezel for an oval stone before. This, I'll just do it quickly. This is a 4x6 stone. If you add those two together and divide by 2, you'll end up with 5, which would, if it were a round stone, that's what it would be. So I'm using 0.5 fine silver. It's only 1.5 high for this tiny little stone. So 5 plus 0.5 times 3.14 will give us the exact length to cut this. Cut it to that length, form it, solder it together, and then after it's soldered together, we'll make it oval. Hard solder. My bezel's soldered, and because it's so small, it doesn't really fit on a bezel mandrel, so I just fiddle with my flat round pliers until I get it the shape I want. We can also just push it over the cab. Yep. And we can gently play with it with our parallel jaw pliers. And once we get our shape, then we'll sand it back, top and bottom. So just put it on your sanding stick. Hold it with your finger. Flip it over, do the other side. Put it back over your stone. The stone wants to go through. You don't want this, so you have to try to force the stone in. So put the flat part of the stone on your bench plate. Push the bezel over it. And it should, if anything, a light fit. But we don't want it too tight. Spend the time, get it nice. Position your bezel, flux on the inside, and place your little bits of easy solder on the inside. And we want a piece that touches each wing. Gently warm it up, push the solder into place, make sure everything's lined up. So this is fairly critical. So what we don't want to do is melt any of our hard solder. Done. As soon as it flows, back away, quench it, have a look. Here we are out of the pickle. Everything looks good. You need to put a jump ring, put a bigger jump ring in here, or a bail. Polish it now by tumbling it. And I haven't covered fire scale in any of the lessons, but that's for another day. If you tumble this to keep the pattern on the wings, it's coated with a fine silver coating. It will come up shiny. There won't be any fire scale on it. If you try to polish this with a little hand polisher or with the buff on the polishing wheel, it'll wipe that fine silver off and you'll have fire scale. But I'll cover fire scale on another day. So tumble this and then we'll set the stone. Okay, we're ready to set the stone, but you'll notice that when I cut out the back of my wings, I left a little step there. Well, the bezel is soldered, but there's a little step, so what I did was I cut a little piece of the original metal from the wings, and I'm just going to drop it down in there to support the stone. Doesn't have to be soldered in. And what I'm going to do is mix a little bit of 2-part epoxy, and I'm going to put just a spot there where the stone goes. Now, if you're nervous about setting the stone, what you can do is just glue it in, but we're actually going to set it. The GRS bench vise is good for this because there are no teeth on the vise, and we can make it nice and snug so this doesn't move around. Now we just want a spot of 2-part epoxy. So besides keeping the stone secure, it's going to keep that little piece of silver in place. I would suggest when you're cutting out your wings that you make sure that your bezel will cover the whole area. I'm just going to pick up the cabochon with a piece of beeswax. Put it in place. If it doesn't quite go in, what you can do is take this out of your vise and use a wooden handle of something to just gently push it. Now it's in. Now we're going to hammer set this, and what I've got is just an old jeweler's file that I cut off with the abrasive disc, sanded and polished, so you can see it's nice and shiny. And we're going to work towards ourselves. We're going to use a chasing hammer and just gently tap that edge. Tap the other edge. And when you get those two sides squeezed together, then you can work your way around the whole stone. A little bit at a time, little taps, and what you'll end up with is really fine hammer marks. Yeah, and we're not going to polish these marks off, we're just going to leave them. So be fairly gentle with this. And when, after you've tapped this so that it touches the edge, take a tissue or a piece of paper towel, go around it, make sure that no epoxy is visible. And you're done. At this point, hallmark it, and I always hallmark it on the tail. And you can use your flat, half-round pliers to put a little bit of a curl in the tail. There you go. A nice little dragonfly. One of my favorite people.